I want to make this video talking about the whole Gilbert Burns versus Jorge Masvidal situation because it really is annoying me seeing all of these amazing matchups potentially get lost. And I really want to see this fight, and I wanted to see this fight in January in Brazil. Jorge Masvidal, Gilbert Burns on the main card of the pay-per-view. That card needs a Gilbert Burns versus Jorge Masvidal. We can't have Oliveira on the card. We can't have Alex Pereira on the card either. The best case scenario right now, if they don't add Masvidal versus Burns to the card, is that they make an Amanda Nunes title defense, hopefully against Valentina Shevchenko in a potential trilogy bout. But I wanted Masvidal versus Burns. And in all honesty, Masvidal needs this Burns fight. So Gilbert Burns came out and said that Masvidal was supposed to fight him in November. That was a rumor that was going around as well, that it was in the works. And Masvidal turned that down, apparently. He also said that they were then supposed to fight in December, and Masvidal turned that one down as well. And then he said they were supposed to fight in January in Brazil. That was a whole rumor that went around as well. And apparently Masvidal turned that one down as well. And then Masvidal came out and said that he's not ready for any of those dates, which is just annoying. But I know he's got court cases going on, but still, it's just annoying, you know? He's waiting until March to fight Gilbert Burns. Now, I know for a fact that this isn't a matter of I need to wait until March the date. I know that Jorge Masvidal wants to be on the Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman 3 card, so that if Leon Edwards wins the trilogy against Kamaru Usman and Masvidal beats Gilbert Burns, it really does rapidly increase the likelihood that he could get a potential title shot if both of them win. Leon Edwards, Jorge Masvidal, they both win. They go backstage. There's a scuffle backstage. The UFC takes advantage of the big hype and makes that matchup happen. Fight him in January. I'm annoyed by this. It's really annoying. We need it on the Brazil card. And I'm telling you this right now. Gilbert Burns is going to move on. He's going to move on. And that costs Masvidal dearly. Masvidal is a really good fighter. Okay? I know he lost to Usman. I know he lost to Colby Covington. But if that's how we're rating whether or not someone's good or not, 99% of the welterweight division aren't good. Okay? He actually has a really good chance of beating Gilbert Burns. I don't know if he does based on the form that he's in right now. But I'll tell you this. The Masvidal of a couple of years ago is a dangerous matchup for Gilbert Burns. Now, I would pick Gilbert Burns to win against Jorge Masvidal, 29-28 decision. But I see a lot of people listening to this whole conversation about Masvidal versus Burns. And people are saying stuff like, you know, Burns would absolutely wipe the floor with Masvidal. Did you see how he fought Chimaev and all this type of stuff? And I know Burns looked good against Chimaev, but Burns isn't a young guy either. I know Masvidal's getting up there in age. But trust me when I tell you, an in form, in good shape Jorge Masvidal, who switched on and focused to get another shot at the belt, he genuinely stands a really good chance against Gilbert Burns. I'm not trying to wait until March. 4 months away. He's in the gym right now training. You know, you're willing to take on Usman on a couple of days' notice. I know it was for the belt, but still. Take this gamble, Jorge Masvidal. I almost feel like he wants Gilbert Burns to move on so he can say that Gilbert's ducking him and then potentially be around for a potential Conor McGregor fight as well. Because, in all honesty, Masvidal's the best option for a McGregor comeback bout. If McGregor's fighting at 170... it rules out a lot of the 155-pounders. And I think Jorge Masvidal is the best option for Conor McGregor to take on, to headline a pay-per-view, and to sell a bunch of pay-per-views between them. They'll shove each other at the press conference. They'll trash talk each other back and forth. And I think that's what maybe Masvidal's trying to do. I do. I just really want the January date. Masvidal will give Gilbert Burns problems. I promise you, Gilbert Burns is not submitting Masvidal. Telling you that right now. He barely controlled Stephen Thompson, and that was a snooze fest of a fight where he couldn't get off any damage. He couldn't advance to a really dominant position on the ground either. Bilal Muhammad did way better against Wonderboy than Gilbert Burns did in terms of offensive grappling. I don't see Gilbert Burns giving Masvidal too many problems on the ground. And if they're on the feet with each other, sure, Gilbert Burns has the ability to knock him down and maybe knock him out with the punches. But Masvidal's going to be a danger for Burns because Masvidal can knock him out right back. And I think Masvidal isn't realizing that if he doesn't get the McGregor fight and he passes up on this Gilbert Burns opportunity, he's really done. He's done in this division. Like, no one else at welterweight is a good matchup for Jorge Masvidal unless we really start scraping the bottom of the barrel and start thinking, you know what, let's do Jorge Masvidal versus Neil Magny. I'm telling you, Gilbert Burns is already talking about moving on. Just saw an interview with him talking about, you know what, maybe Belal Muhammad, maybe even Neil Magny. He even said, you know, Magny called him out for a fight in January in Brazil, so he's now looking at that option as well. Like, Gilbert Burns is an older fighter. He knows that. He doesn't have time to waste, and he's not going to sit around waiting for people. He wants to fight in Brazil because one of the only reasons, really, so I'm not going to just say one, it's the main reason, is his country. And also, I know Gilbert Burns has fought in Brazil before, but he hasn't fought in Brazil as Gilbert Burns. He's fought in Brazil as Gilbert Burns, but he hasn't fought in Brazil as Gilberto Burns. You know what I mean? Durinho himself. The name he's now become. He would probably get a standing ovation as he walks out in Brazil. The whole crowd would go crazy. A lot of these Brazilian fighters that have built their name over the time off that we haven't been to Brazil in. I think the last time we went to Brazil was March 2020, and that was an empty arena with Charles Oliveira and Kevin Lee. And Gilbert Burns hasn't been there, and they haven't really been back to Brazil at all since then. So he would come back to a standing ovation and a whole bunch of new fans. He wants that experience as an older fighter who hasn't got many fights left. So he's talking about other matchups here. And I bet you Belal Muhammad would take it. If it just I rate Belal Muhammad for that reason. Like, he will just take these matchups and start looking at other names in the welterweight division. And if it means cancelling out Masvidal's chance. Masvidal, you're number 11, dude. We can't play this game of you wait for me in March. Masvidal. I'm going to go to his Instagram right now. I'm annoyed by this whole situation. I just needed to get it off my chest. 3 million followers. Fair play, Masvidal. But I'm looking at posts and like his recent one, 22 hours, 21k likes. Like, it's not much. We ain't talking superstar level interaction rate here. And I know the video that he did talking to Gilbert Burns got 70k and stuff like that. And, man, it's annoying to me. It really is. You're going to need money, dude. You're about to pay out Colby Covington a very good amount of money. Fight Gilbert Burns, dude. January. I ain't trying to wait till March. I'm not trying to wait till March. He's in the gym right now. He's training. He doesn't look in that bad of shape, but he does have a bit of a belly on him. Start training camp. Fight in January, dude. We don't have time to wait around. If you don't fight Gilbert Burns in January, he's going to move on, be on that card, be the big spotlight guy of the card in terms of Brazilian talent, and then you're going to be left with Shavkat Rakhmanov's right there. You know what I mean? Like, these other dangerous matchups that you really don't want to be taking on because they'll beat you. Dangerous up-and-comers in the welterweight division. Like, the best case scenario for Masvidal, if he doesn't get this Burns fight and doesn't get the McGregor fight, is Masvidal calls out Daniel Rodriguez coming off a loss. Like, this is what we're going to be talking about. If he wants to stay relevant in these big fights, he's either gambling a McGregor fight, which is a big risk because McGregor's almost at a petty level with Masvidal. You saw what he did when Masvidal wore that jacket at the McGregor versus Cerrone fight. He just basically completely disregarded him as a fighter as soon as he saw that and said, you know, God loves a trier and all that type of stuff that he said. They're bleeding hell's kill and all that stuff. But I think if McGregor sees Masvidal desperate to fight him, he just won't pick Masvidal. In all honesty. I could see it. I could see McGregor actually just going, oh, you know, Chimaev's fighting someone. Maybe the Chimaev-Covington fight doesn't happen. I could see McGregor just going, give me Covington. Because if he wins that one, which is, you know, not likely, but he has a chance at least, he could be right at the top of the welterweight division. So I don't think Masvidal has the power that he thinks he has in this negotiation to say, no, Burns, wait until March. Burns ain't going to wait around. I'm telling you, Masvidal, get on it. Stay in camp. Give yourself 8 weeks. Fight in January. Go around the court dates. It can't be that big of a deal that you have to deal with. and take this gamble against Gilbert Burns because he could win. He actually has a decent chance of beating Gilbert Burns. And not to mention, listen, Gilbert Burns, people are talking about the fight that he had with Chimaev. He's an old fighter to be taking that level of damage at 36 years of age. He really is. Like, he's 20-5. He's been KO'd before in his career. He got finished by Usman. He got finished by Dan Hooker as well. Like, he's taken his damage in his career, and he's even had his fair share of scraps where he's won the fight too. So, you don't know what version of Burns is even going to come back after the Chimaev fight. That's a war for him to have at 35 years of age at the time. Now 36. Masvidal's got a solid chance against him. He will not submit Masvidal. Masvidal, as much as people hate on him for his like wrestling defense, his jiu-jitsu defense is some of the best in the sport. He had Damian Maia on his back for 3 straight rounds, and he had no problem with it whatsoever, completely defended it, and arguably should have won that fight based on damage. So this gives him a real chance to hang on the feet with Gilbert Burns. Jump at this opportunity. I'm telling you, man, fighters are paid too much. When are people going to realize this sport requires fighters to be paid not a lot of money? Otherwise, it will not exist. Really. How many more fighters are going to get their decent paycheck as a contender, and then we're going to have to sit out and watch them fight once a year? God, man. It's just annoying. Fight Gilbert Burns. You got a solid chance against him. And not to mention, on another card, you don't know how much chance you're going to get against Gilbert Burns. What I would say Masvidal should do is get on that Brazil card, because it's such a weak card at the moment. And it's not that weak, but it has space for a big, massive fight like Burns versus Masvidal. If there's no Nunes fight on that card announced, and they just do Burns versus Masvidal, you can negotiate a 5-rounder. Just to give yourself every chance possible to beat Gilbert Burns. Fuck, man. He needs to jump at this opportunity or it's going to slip by. And then he has to maybe just pray and hope that McGregor literally saves his career. Because otherwise, it's, here's this monster coming up outside the rankings. Take him on, Jorge Masvidal. And he's not going to like that. And he's not going to get 5-rounders otherwise. He's going to get 3-rounders with fighters that are all hammers. And he's going to be treated like the nail. He needs this Burns fight. Make it happen in January. Burns is already talking about moving on. God, man. Annoying me. Make it happen. January. Kick off the year with a bang. Because Figueiredo Moreno 4 is still considered the co-main event. And listen, I love Shogun Rua and fair play. Let's just say this. Shogun Rua, Igor Pateria is not a main card pay-per-view fight. Shogun should be on the prelims. And I know it's disrespectful to say that, but the fact that that's even on the main card, it shows how weak the card is. And this card's good. It's got McKinney Bonfim. It's got the other Bonfim as well against Munir Lazez in the higher weight class. We got Andrade versus Murphy on the prelims. We got Jailton Almeida, Shamil Abdurakhimov on the prelims. Thiago Moises, Guram Kutsteledze, Wale Alves, Nicholas Dalby. The prelims are solid. We just need Shogun Rua, Igor Pateria off the main card. Put on Burns versus Masvidal in a 5-rounder maybe. Or a 3-rounder, who cares? And then give us like Nunes Shevchenko 3. And that's a sick, wicked card that's going to sell a bunch of pay-per-views. With Tavares Rodriguez and Paul Craig, Johnny Walker on the main card as well. It's just, get it done. The March card is going to be too stacked. Pimlet's going to want to be on there. Till's going to want to be on there. Are these guys going to be on the prelims for Masvidal versus Burns? The UFC ain't going to do that. They're not going to put Masvidal Burns on that card when they can have it in Brazil with Burns' name to help sell out that arena, or in America with Masvidal's name to help sell out that arena as well. He just wants to be in the UK so he can attack Leon Edwards backstage or just push him at some point backstage at the weigh-ins so they can try and set up that fight afterwards. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Why would Masvidal want to fight in the UK otherwise? It's not a date thing. It's not like he needs that time. Only when the UK card comes around, I'll be ready. He wants to be there so he can push Leon Edwards backstage. And if both of them win, they can fight each other. But I don't even want to see that. So stop the games. Make these fights, man. It's annoying me. Seeing this nonsense. Like, fighters are paid too much. They're paid too much. You got court cases going on. You know you're going to lose about 500k to Covington. And you're still like, no, once a year. I'll fight in March. Give me another 2 months. People talking about fighter pay. These guys get too much money. It's annoying me. Really annoying me. Like, I'm seeing like skinny bets here. Saying Usman versus Leon, Hamzat Colby, Jorge Burns. Shavkat Neal winner versus Bilal, that card. Have a whole welterweight card. And people are liking it, but it's just not realistic when you consider the fact that if Darren Till wins or loses, he's going to want to be on the UK card. Paddy Pimlet's going to definitely be on the UK card, win or lose. Like, there's just so many fighters that are going to hog spots. We can't overstack that card. You know, Tom Aspinall's probably going to be looking to come back on that card. Are we going to have Pimlet, Aspinall, and Darren Till all on the prelims? It don't make no sense. Arnold Allen wants to be on that card. He's fighting probably Max Holloway next. Like, it's just going to be too much for that card. Fuck, man. Masvidal, fight. He actually has a chance against Burns, but no one else at welterweight. This is your only opportunity. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Toodle Pip. Fight Burns. Maybe you win. Get paid anyway. And then McGregor, because you're a top contender again. McGregor's not going to want to look at you because by the time April comes around, you probably move from number 11 to number 13 or 12. You know? Mikel Pereira's going to get a fight, jump up the rankings. Someone else will get a fight, jump up the rankings. And you're going to shimmy lower and lower. And McGregor looks champ 1, 2, 3, 4 and considers every option down the list. McGregor will probably fight Oliveira. Pay-per-view main event. I could see that happening. Fuck, man. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Toodle Pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye.